piece? Well, this is the opening piece to camera for Stony, Stratford, Volume 2.
Are you aware that I'm the local ironmonger?
Yes.
Fourth generation of a family business. My great-grandfather, James Odell, bought the business in 1863, and he hadn't been there for many weeks when somebody came into the shop with this piece of cardboard and said, "Mr. Odell, what I need is 2 pieces of glass this diameter." And written on the back of this piece of cardboard, it says, "Template for beveled edge glass, 5/16 of an inch thick."
Good, right.
And then up in this corner it's been written 2 bits, not pieces, bits of glass to this. And the 2 has been altered to 3.
Who's done that?
I don't know, but he hasn't got a headache any longer.
Okay.
And then there's a line across here and it says, "It's for a tram headlamp." So this guy was asking for 2 pieces of glass, this diameter, 5/16 of an inch thick, with a beveled edge, for a tram headlamp. So James Odell, my great-grandfather, had this order for 2 pieces of glass. And he thought, well, rather than order just the 2 bits of glass for the tram headlamps, I'll order 3 bits, so that I can supply the 2 bits that are required, and we'll have a 3rd piece in stock, you know, ready for next time they break a piece. And so he alters the lettering up here from 2 to 3. And he sends this off to the Northampton glass merchant or the London glass merchant or wherever it was. And there was supplied 3 pieces of glass. 2 of them were supplied to the tram company, and the 3rd one he put in stock.
And it's still in stock.
And it is still. So not only did we supply 2 pieces of glass for the tram, but the 3rd piece
That's not the same shape.
we still have in
Oh,
stock.
how wonderful.
You could use that for a toilet mirror, couldn't you?
Look at that.
That.
And
You should-
here is a photograph of the tram with the
That is
headlamps.
fantastic. That is fantastic, yeah.
It must have been good quality.
The one thing as a kid you remember was that you really knew, at least by sight, virtually everyone in the town, and you'd be on at least a nodding acquaintance with them, or you could sort of have a conversation with most of them. But since Milton Keynes came, I think you began to sort of feel alienated. Stony was Stony and Wolverton was Wolverton and Newport was Newport.
There's a few more houses, but it still keeps its character, like, you know.
It's kind of like a tourist attraction in some ways, because there's old houses, like there's the old inns up the top at the top of the high street, like the Rising Sun, and there are quite a few old shops, and there are stables.
I can always remember the street parties, though. And
Do you often close your eyes and think how different it looks?
Well, I think it's changed a lot. I was trying to think about, there were lots more shops that were families where they mostly lived up above the shop. I couldn't remember knowing an estate agent.
The bottom end of the town, which the poor, in inverted commas, was a community. A lot of the people down there lived in very small houses. If anybody was ill, a woman was ill, you'd find somebody to go across and take a washing. She'd do a washing. You see them walking across the road with a clothes basket. if somebody was cooking the dinner and they hadn't got any salt, they'd run along and knock on the door and ask, have you got any salt, Mrs. Brown, or have you got any sugar, what were they? There was all this sort of thing going on down there, and it was a wonderful community spirit down there. When the old gasworks used to let the coke out, like the retort, the local doctors would always say, if your child had got a bronchitis or asthma, whooping cough, take your child down to the gasworks, stand them against the wall, and when the retort opens up and all the smoke comes in, tell them to breathe in.
Yeah.
You remember that?
That worked better than penicillin.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
You wouldn't get that.
I guess that wouldn't happen now, would it?
No.
That'd be the worst thing for you.
it was Mr. Lawrence who ran the gasworks in those days, wasn't it? Gassy Lawrence, they always.
Market Square's barely changed at all. Milton Keynes didn't suddenly arrive.
One of the things I liked doing was laying on the light ridings in the summertime, watching all the skylarks going round and round and singing, you know. You get about 30 of them all at once in those days, you know. We used to go down the sluice gate. Used to be a big iron head, but I think it was purloined.
You mean stolen?
Yeah.
Next to Camden's was W.W. Meadows.
That's right.
Right,
Draper.
yes, the
Drapers,
Draper.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I know that somebody went there in the mid-1930s for a man's cap, and they brought him one with a button in the top and sections there, and that was the style that he was still stocking in the mid-1930s. And then from
All the rage nowadays.
from W.W. Meadows, the next shop was
Barley's.
Walton's Tea Shop.
Wasn't Barley's there?
Was it
was
Barley's?
next to Barley's.
Was it Barley's?
Next to Meadows, I think, Barley's.
Well, the one that is now the Nationwide was Walton's.
Oh, there's Donny's.
Walton, yeah,
Donny's as
Donny's,
well.
Donny's.
Donny's.
Yes, Donny's after
Yeah.
it was Walton's, that's
Yeah,
right.
that's right, yeah.
Then there was the one that's the tea shop.
That's the Hall and White. Oh no, sorry, that one. That was Barley's.
No.
That was
Barley's,
Barley's.
that's right.
Where are we now?
We've just come down the coffee
Rich,
coast.
Rich,
Yeah,
Rich,
come
Rich,
on.
Rich,
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 We're about 3 steps away from Coffee's
Yeah.
Coast.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
just
I thought I was in
Hang
Wadding
on a minute, George. We'll get there.
Yes.
And Barley's became Arthur E. Vogt, didn't
That's
it?
right.
A jeweller.
Jeweller.
Then it became C. Arnhem, an electrical shop.
That's right, Arnhem's electrician, that's correct.
This is
That
good.
was,
That's right,
XWD stuff. It was sold XWD.
yeah, that was
Yeah, that was it.
W.J. Higgs's daughter's husband, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
that's correct.
So, yeah, he was a policeman when she
W.J. Higgs's daughter, is that
On the-
Vera
Yes,
Armand?
yes, Vera
Yeah, Vera,
Armand.
yeah.
And she ran a shop.
No, the husband did.
When Vera started looking for boys, she took up with this policeman. And W.J. Higgs was very cross about it. He thought his daughter was worth more than a policeman. And
So she was.
I remember Fleming's garage down the high street where Coffridge Close now is, and I was very friendly with the Fleming boys, so I was often popping down there. And we had great times in the orchard out the back and the tennis courts. And I mean, talking about young people learning the hard way, I remember we were fiddling around with a box of matches once, and I didn't realise that holly hedges would burn. I thought they were green and they wouldn't burn. And we were busy building this little bonfire thing, the way that young people, well, certainly did when I was a boy. And all of a sudden this hedge went up and scared the life out of me. And bearing in mind it was a garage that sold petrol, it was, you know, when it was all put out and I had time to think about it, it was quite a scary moment.
Hall and Whites used to roast their own coffee there. And
Yes.
on coffee roasting mornings, the whole of that end of the town was suffused with this odour of roasting coffee. Mr. Hall owned the business in the first place, Arthur Hall. And then after the First World War ended, Mr. White joined him, and Mr. White had been an officer's backman in the army, and he aped the way that the officer class talked, but he didn't quite make it. So he used to say, "Will you have half a pound of coffee, please?" And it was great fun listening to him. He was a very dapper little man, always got his hair slicked immaculately back, always a stiff white collar and a tie there, and an immaculate white overall on there. And he really went after the class grocery trade of the town and district. And he used to do a country round as well with a Hillman 14 car. And then you got the yard which led down to Hazeldine's back way and Fleming's Guy.
Yes, that's right.
That's right.
Before Fleming took the business and ran his agricultural business, Negus was there, wasn't he?
Right, yeah.
And Negus was a motor engineer.
Yeah.
Well,
he was in cycles to start with, wasn't he?
Was he?
They say he used to ride to work on a penny farthing in the very early days.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And then behind the Angel and Hazeldines, there was tennis courts.
Tennis courts. Yeah.
If ever someone picked the wrong building material,
Oh gosh.
if ever there was a course for stone clad,
Yes.
that would be the one building you could stone clad and it would make a difference.
It would look like
Mind you, it was a very motley collection of buildings down there. I don't think any of them from the Nationwide Building Society, as now is, that was Walton Stores, that was...
but that's a beautiful building.
That's lovely, that is.
Yeah.
And that's,
Yes.
So were
That was
those ones that they took down, were they ugly
but the
buildings?
others were very run-of-the-mill ones.
Oh right, clear them out then,
Took
put
all
a
the-
supermarket in,
They
fair enough.
were brick-built ones.
And you see, the Angel had closed long before it was demolished,
Yes,
hadn't
it
it?
had,
And
yeah.
it
That
really was an eyesore.
It's the Angel, wasn't it, really? Well,
And
And the architects thought it was something beautiful.
I guess they did. But it just looks, it's a wrong one to me.
But I think there's this idea that you have to build something different.
yeah, that's exactly it.
Even
There's
though-
no point
even
in
though we-
creating something, however
Yeah.
nice it is, if
Yeah.
it's been done before. You've got to do something different.
And I can't see the point of that.
No.
taking from the church north, both sides of the high street haven't changed much at all, have they? There's not been a lot of demolition. And if you think about
Timor
shops-
Court's been put in though, hasn't it? It would seem quite strange not to have an Odell's and a Hazeldines in Stony.
It would, wouldn't it? Yeah.
The one that particularly sticks in my mind was what was known as Hall's Bazaar. You know, it was like a constant sort of lucky dip in a way for a kid really in there.
I don't know if you've heard of Betts and Faulkner. They were builders in the town, and the Faulkner was my grandfather. And the shop there, they sold wallpaper there, but at the back they did funerals, and so grandfather was there, but they also did building. My mother, who was Mrs. Barlow, who had the wallpaper shop just a bit further up, 24 High Street.
I remember.
Yes, that's right. Well, it was her father that was Mr. Faulkner, and she remembers as a child, they made the coffins and they put all the cushions and so on in the coffins. And when she was a little girl, the men in the shop used to say, "Oh, come and lie in this, make sure it's comfortable." And then they'd move the lid across. Where the video shop is used to be Chipperfields and Ironmongers, and my mum and dad both worked there, that's how they met. And in those days they sold a lot of glass and china, and apparently Mother used to tell the story that actually some cows were being taken through the high street, and it really, really happened. The bull in the china shop, only it was a cow in a china shop. This cow actually came into the shop, and she said it walked round this stuff with all the china and glass on, and nothing was broken. Well, Chipperfields came in the war because they were bombed out in Lowestoft, and the people before that I think it was Roberts, but I'm not quite sure. And so they were really the main sort of hardware and glass people.
But I lived next door to them along the Calverton Road, and because they were prosperous business people, they had a car when nobody else did, and they had a television where nobody else did, and I was lucky enough to be able to tag along and go and watch the telly and go out to Overstone Park in the car on a Sunday and those kind of things. And then where Roberts the Opticians is, they used to have a Chipperfield showroom, and at Christmas time that shop unit, they didn't actually sell anything from it, was just purely a shop window. They used to lay out a great big Hornby Dublow railway track, and Steve Chipp and I used to go home on the way from school and call in at this showroom at the back, and one of the Chipperfield family lived upstairs, so we were able to get in and we were able to play with this huge great train set for as long as we liked. And then also part of the Christmas decorations, elder brother Robert Chipperfield would help his dad to build a Meccano model, and it would be a big something or other. It would be a Ferris wheel, or it would be a merry-go-round with little horses going up and down, or a great big digger or something like that. And that used to take about 6 months to build, and then was have pride of place in the shop window. And I always remember one year alongside this, in the tool department, which is now Pierce's. Is it the photograph shop or Pierce's Bakery?
It's one of those. Yeah, I know.
It's one of those down there. Anyway, that used to be the tool department at Chipperfields, and they used to supply industry and schools and things. So it was a very comprehensive tool shop. And I remember one year they put this big banner up in the window: "Ladies, why not buy your husband a new tool for Christmas?" And people were coming from all over and photographing this. Probably going to be their Christmas card, I would have thought. We were naive in those days.
Stony Stratford is shopping as it ought to be.
Aha, that's the slogan.
Well, it's not what it was, because you see, you can remember Wickings.
I was fascinated by when you paid your money, it was put into a little box and then that went shooting all over the store, you know, back upstairs, I expect, to the cashier. He offered a pram to the baby born nearest to Coronation Day. I won the pram. The people of Clarence Road, they bought me a silver cup that I've still got to this day. The first time my father took me out, he was coming back down Clarence Road, and there was a slight incline, and he stopped and spoke to somebody and forgot to put the brake on, and off I sailed down Clarence Road.
You can't buy knickers, can you, in Stony?
No, you can't.
Sorry.
You can buy haberdashery, but I think ladies' knickers is the problem.
So you've got to go to Milton Keynes if you want knickers or whatever you want. See?
But if
Or you want
Milton Keynes wasn't over the hill, then we would sell them in Stony Stratford.
That's right. There were so many shops, you know, and of course there were also lots of front room shops as well. I mean, there was one where Mother always got her crumpets from a couple of ladies in a little shop in Silver Street.
That was wonderful bread at Arthur Cavendish, because
That's right,
he
first
used to make it on an open fire.
Arthur was doing a horse-drawn delivery.
That's right, yes.
You know, well
yes.
into
And he still,
60s.
yes, he still had it when he died.
The Hasseldynes used to open their fires on a Sunday to cook the Sunday lunches, didn't they? Everybody brought their meat down.
And Christmas
And
turkey.
Carol's did.
They did our Christmas turkey.
Oh yeah,
They did our Christmas
even
turkey.
when I was working for them, we used to get them come in.
Did you work for them?
Well, Hasseldynes.
Yeah.
Oh, just a few years.
Well, we used to have a real animal market on the markets.
Yeah.
What, so pigs and sheep and cows?
Yeah.
So when was that?
Up to World War One, I should think, wouldn't it be?
Well,
I
my
think so.
my two greats. No, my great grandfather, getting confused now. They sold horses on the market square to the soldiers for the First World War, and I was told they bought the horses and they walked them down the Watling Street, which is the old A5, and then they literally herded them. You heard a horse down there, and then they sold them on the market square. But they actually farmed in the north of the High Street.
Yes. And the grandfather, he used to have the fields, which are the two meadows going towards the river bridge, and one of them is still called Tombs Meadow, which is after grandfather. He used to cut the hay, obviously, and he used to sell milk from his cows and in the high street, in the town, round from a can, and people used to come out with their jugs, and he used to fill their jugs from his...
So you had a bicycle, didn't you, or something?
Well, yeah, either a bicycle. He always had a horse and cart to get about with, but I can't remember whether he had the horse and cart which he took the milk round on, but he definitely had a horse and cart. And I remember he was telling me he was in his horse and cart coming down the main London Road one day, and a big lorry came along, and the man put his head out the window and he said, Will you make Manchester tonight? He said, young man.
Bearing in mind this is like the late 40s, early 50s, and he's still got a horse and cart going down the A5.
Stony Stratford has grown up and flourished, serving the townsfolk and the folk in the area around Stony Stratford. And Stony Stratford has always supplied, the tradesmen of Stony Stratford has always supplied the requirements of the local inhabitants, and it will continue to do it. Now, if the local inhabitants want a McDonald's, then that's what they will be provided with.
What about a fruit and veg shop?
If the town wants a fruit and veg shop, then they'll support it. If they don't, they won't.
But I hope they do, because like most shops in Stony Stratford, this is a family-run business. Hello, Tom. All right, mate. So, how many sorts of onions have we got here?
Well, at the moment we've got 4 in stock at the moment. We've got the shallots, the mild Chilean onions, the red onions, and the English, locally grown in Bedford.
Now, where do you get this stuff from? Do you just go down to Sainsbury's and pick it off the shelf and then come in here and sell it on?
I wish it was as easy as that.
So what's your morning like? What time do you start?
Probably about 3:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
Up the Leicester Market to the wholesalers, get it all bought, load it, get back here hopefully for around about 8 o'clock, 8:30, stock the shelves, price it all up, and then open. Hopefully about 9 o'clock.
So you're open from 9 o'clock. What time do you shut?
Normally about 5:30, 6 o'clock.
And then you work from 6 o'clock until when, doing all your stocks and checking stuff out?
Normally till about 7:30, somewhere around about there. Knock it on the head by about 7:30 in the evening.
Okay then.
Bookwork's done as well.
So it's about an 18-hour day that you work?
Oh yeah.
Are you enjoying it though?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Really nice.
And what's the response from the people?
It's been welcomed. I mean, a lot of people have said that without a greengrocers in Stony is just killing the town off.
Yeah, yeah.
And it does need a greengrocer. So
oh, it certainly does. Yeah, there's no
I'm trying to get it going. So here we are.
Yeah. Okay, let's have a look at what you got in them.
Right. On the cold shelf at the moment, we've got strawberries from America. We've got strawberries from England, English raspberries, Dutch blackberries, Dutch tomatoes, English tomatoes, Chilean grapes, peppers, English salad stuff now the season starts.
Okay, so who picks what you've got in there? Because I know it's you and Pat, isn't it?
Yeah.
So who is the boss?
Well,
remember this is on camera.
I actually go to the market and pick the stuff.
Okay then.
Yeah, Pat just helps out in the shop and then admin side of it.
All right. So how do you know about fruit and veg then?
Just experience really. I've been a lorry driver for 30 years, hauling the stuff around the country, so I decided to pack it all up and open a shop.
Shocks away then. See, the map of Stony Stratford has hardly changed in the last couple of 100 years. But that's all we've ever had, is a map of Stony Stratford. So we thought we'd try something a bit different, give you a living map. Now, how do you do that? Easy, you find a couple of nutters like this, Mike and Simon, who have basically mounted a lawnmower engine on the back of a... Well, what would you... Now, I'm doing it down, really, aren't I? It's not a lawnmower
You're doing
engine.
it... No, it's a Road Tax 912 in this particular case on a flex wing microlight. And this is called a Quantum 912 Super Sport.
Okay then. Now, can this break the sound barrier?
No.
Okay, just checking away. All right, so tell me, how fast and how high will we be going?
Well, we'll be flying along about 55 miles an hour through the air. If there's wind behind us, of course, we'll be going a bit faster. Normally we'd get up to about 3,000 feet for a day like this, but unfortunately the cloud's going to hold us down today, so I suspect it'll be about 1,000 feet. It'll give us a good view of Stony Stratford, and we will see it as it comes into the onto the horizon there.
think there was one particular day when I think there was the cup final on and the big international trophy meeting at Silverstone, toaster races. Somehow all these things contrived to be on together. It was absolute chaos, you know, because you got coaches and things trying to get to Wembley for the cup final and all the stuff trying to get to Silverstone. It was absolute havoc. And I can remember there also be people selling copies of the Daily Express for some reason. Well, the Daily Express were the big sponsors at Silverstone. One of the great excitements used to be when big loads used to come through on the back of Pigford lorries. But I think when the Festival of Britain was being built, what was then the biggest single piece of glass that had ever been made came through on some great transporter apparently, and because it was so high, the pub signs had to be removed for the passage of this thing, and I mean that seems unbelievable now.
We lived right on the high street, obviously, and we had one of these old-fashioned wooden mantelpieces, and in those days, because there wasn't the motorway, so the lorries came right through, and they came down the London Road, and there were various accidents. I mean, one went into what was Canvin's, the butchers, at what we call the top of the town. One went into the house where I lived, 24. And I remember my sister and I were in bed, it must have been early in the morning or something, and they came and moved us to the back of the house because it went right sort of into the front door, so it was considered dangerous. So it was always busy. And I mean, the ornaments on the mantelpiece were always shaking.
And when you went to school in the morning, you had to allow time to cross the road. You couldn't just sort of get to the curb and wander across like you can these days. You had to wait for a gap in the traffic, or you had to wait for the traffic lights to change. The old-fashioned lights that I remember, particularly along the Calverton Road, were just like single domestic bulbs on a wooden lamppost, and there was a little pool of light under each lamp, and then big dark bits in between. And when you're a kid, you sort of run from one pool of light to the other, particularly if you're on the way back Scouts with your bag of chips in one hand and your bottle of pop in the other, and you're a bit worried about what might be lurking down the dark corners.
Well, I can remember the lamplighter coming round, and the man would come round, you know, whatever time, 6ish or whatever at night, and then had to, you know, pull the thing to get the gas lamp lit.
The Grand Union Canal was planned in this room.
They had a meeting and they decided to build it. They went to no end of trouble building it. It lasted for 75 years and it was defunct because somebody invented the internal combustion engine.
Well, it was the
Didn't we have a bit
railways
of it
before
and
that,
take it to
wasn't it? But it was the advent of the Grand Junction Canal, which is the birth of Wolverton Railway Works.
Wolverton was the Milton Keynes of its time.
Yeah.
So Stony Stratford had Milton Keynes on its doorstep.
All those years ago.
All those years ago, and it probably felt very cross about it, I would guess.
They had all the streets vertically and horizontally with no lane of 8 in between.
Yeah, yeah.
In 1846, Wolverton didn't exist at all.
Forensic scientists from Aldermaston have been called in to investigate the cause of the fire, which at its fiercest could be seen 4 miles away in Beechhampton. Nine fire appliances from Milton Keynes in Northamptonshire were brought into the narrow spaces around the building, and hoses working from a 90-foot high hydraulic platform were used to combat the fire.
But all the firemen were auxiliary
Local.
firemen. You know,
They're all volunteers.
It was,
Yeah.
you know, the local carpenter, the ironmonger, the.
So it could have been Jim.
It
So
could have been Jim.
So, okay, let's set the scene then.
Siren goes up.
Siren goes up.
Jim serving a customer.
Yeah. He has to finish the transaction.
No, no,
Are you sure? You missed
Mr. Odell.
George, we have to finish the transaction before we went out.
Okay.
We would have to, honestly.
Unless it was an awkward customer.
Yeah, if it was an awkward customer, we
In
would just
which
walk out.
case, he'd be out of the door, he'd take his tunic off the peg and his cap, and he'd be pulling on his breeches as he was running down the street, and that'd be it.
There was old Ted Yates, the bell ringer,
Yep.
at St Giles.
Yep.
He left, then there was his son, wasn't it?
It was David, yes.
David. Well, David was the
No,
last
no,
one.
no,
It's the last one because he would have only been
grandson.
70, yes.
He ran the,
Yes.
the woodworking
That's right.
business.
That's
around
right,
about
yes.
Bourne Lane.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So there were three,
Yes.
three families of Yates were chief fire officers, whatever that may be.
He was a wonderful man, David.
He was.
Way back at the beginning of the new city, when creative people moved to the area, they looked around for somewhere really nice to live, and a lot of them settled in Stony. So a lot of architects here, lots of musicians, lots of artists, and they're still here.
I suppose the instigator of that was Rod Hall. I think things sort of grew round Rod in a way as regards the folk tradition in the town, and have carried on ever since, although he's left the area now.
And there's also the switch on the lights, which is quite good.
It was the local Chamber of Trade that decided that they wanted to do it. They wrote to the Wolverton Urban District Council to get permission to festoon lights across the carriageway, and the Wolverton Urban District granted them permission to drape these lights at a height of not less than 27 feet above the carriageway. The Chamber of Trade wrote to all the business people and requested that they were looking for permission to put fixing points onto the front of their buildings, and they also wanted a financial contribution towards the cost of the lights, and they calculated that the lighting scheme would cost 1 11 per foot frontage of building. So all the shop premises were measured in high street frontage and then multiplied by 1 11, and each of those businesses contributed that amount of money.
And the New Year's Eve, where everyone goes down the high street, and just as it strikes midnight, the lights all go on.
And then we turn it on. So Daniel, tell me where you've just been.
Just been to Bear Tower. Stony Stratford is here. The pet shop.
What's in the pet shop?
Yeah, yes, okay. Yeah, some grit, some fine grit. So a couple of pounds in a bag or something. Yeah, fine, that'll do well. Cheap. Yeah, okay. Yeah, be a bit latest, but I won't try not to be too late. Okay then. Cheers now. Bye. Big George.
Marcus, how are you doing? All right.
Yeah, all right.
Well, we're doing a film about Stony Stratford, and we thought we'd better come to the pet emporia of our
Absolutely.
town.
We couldn't go past without it.
No. So, do you want us to just walk us down
Yes.
the back, show us a few
Yes.
bits and pieces? Show us the guinea pigs, because we had a hot tip about someone who used to breed guinea pigs for you.
Walk this way.
Okay then, if I could walk that way. Boom, boom. Hello, Gemma. Oh, that smells lovely. I wish
The food being prepared.
So is that what they're going to have?
Yeah, that's what they're going to
I'll
have.
tell you what, there's some restaurants, not in Stony Stratford because we've got the best restaurants in the country, but there's some restaurants in outlying villages that you wouldn't get a salad as good as that.
Absolutely right.
That's
yes,
a beautiful...
fresh each week.
That's beautiful, isn't
Every
it?
night they get that.
Yeah.
Silver bowls. Please note the silver.
Silver bowls.
Silver bowls. Please note the silver bowls.
There's a lot of, I tell you what has always impressed me,
Yeah.
there's lots of animals in here that aren't for sale.
Oh, yeah,
Because
well,
you love them so much, don't you?
That's one of our problems. It's one of our failings.
Yeah.
That was the Edward Hayes where they made the boats, and grandfather used to work there. I mean, you can imagine a boat going through the middle of the high street must have been quite, something. Goodness knows.
I really ought to be wearing a helmet, but then saying that, it might knock some sense into me. Okay then, ton up. I mean, we're just down the road from Silverstone here, so I mean, we have got a racing history and a motorbike history. And I thought we'd take a look at Neil Allwork's Emporia of Motorcycle Madness. Oh. Lovely. Neil, how you doing, mate? All right?
Right, George.
Good to see you again. Used to be my next door neighbour. So, what turned you out of being my next door neighbour into running this fabulous Emporia?
Emporia. It's just a hobby turned into a passion that ended up being a business that's been extremely successful. We started off over near Silverstone and then eventually came over to Stony. Clive, who was in the High Street for 20 odd years, he came in with us as well, and it's been extremely busy and successful. Many people locally come here all the time for the service we provide them. It's just a need that has been now filled in the area, really.
So Neil, what do you reckon for me? Like a 7 litre ton-up Harley Davidson fat boy?
I think it might be better for you, George, something like this up there. Nice little 50cc runabout. I think you should be able to handle something like this.
Oh, thank you very much indeed, mate. You ever driven one of those?
I have drove these, they're very useful, bombing around on, mate. Still better than four wheels.
Okay, let's have a go.
Watch the power.
All right then.
Suits you, sir, suits you very much.
Very, very nice. So what is this place then?
This is the old stable block to the Bull Hotel, was used years ago. That was the coaching house there. This is where all the horses used to be in here, and above used to be the old hayloft.
So no change really, it's just another mode of transport?
Different type of horsepower.
Well, it is reputed that either Charles or John Wesley, the great evangelist, came to Stony, Stratford and preached to the local population from beneath the tree, in the shade of the tree. And apparently he didn't get a very good response from the local people, and he is alleged to have said they are stony by name and stony by nature.
What he was saying was that the people in the town were unreceptive to the word of God.
He was throwing his
so
corn
it was,
on us.
yeah, so it was a
His
bit
corn was wasted on us.
Well, we got 7 churches, he's wrong. There we go.
Yeah, but how many pubs did we have when we had 7 churches?
43.
That's what needs saying.
The Prince of Wales and the Duke of Edinburgh, minus the coach and horses, but both wearing the leaf of the royal oak, rode past the Forester's Arms on a white horse to see the fox and hounds meet at the barley mow, when they found it to be a cock and bull story. The angel sent a message saying that the case is altered and advising them to chop the king's head off and take the crown and retire with the George to the plough, dine off a white swan and remain there the night as the red lion might be prowling around. Have a good night's sleep and don't awaken until the rising sun came peeping through the windows in the morning.
What about the church? Because you go to St Mary and St Giles, you go into that church.
Yeah, we go into the church for services, Easter services, Christmas services, harvest. We go there for quite a lot of services.
What do you think of the church?
I think I think it was burnt down and they've rebuilt it, and it looks, it doesn't look old-fashioned, but it doesn't really look modern. It just looks just right, and it's nice and big and it echoes.
Right, so let's get to the top of this place and have a look. 14th century. How many steps do you reckon are out here, Malcolm?
Oh, about 70.
70?
Yeah.
More like 5,070 if you ask me. We've been climbing for about 2 days.
Probably feels like that.
Well, yeah, but you're running on ahead of me. I mean, it's like a young bloke like you who's just enjoying his retirement. It's all right for you.
Thank you very much.
You know, I'm in the prime of my life and I'm struggling with blooming rope. Have to be careful of your P's and Q's. You know who owns this building, don't you? Right. Okay. So if I was to pull this now, I mean, I know I'd get the wrath of you and the vigour of this, but would this go ding?
If you pull hard enough, yeah, you swing the bell.
I see, I'm not a professional.
Well, you pull it and see what happens.
All right.
Yeah. That's it. That's it. That's it. Check it. Check it as it goes up.
What does that mean? Let go?
No, check it. Hold it tight as the sally goes up. That's it. Check it there. That's it. Check it there.
They'll all be running around.
That's it.
They'll all be thinking.
That's it.
Oh, hey. There'll be people running out at the moment.
Nobody.
No, they'll all be thinking that there's some sort of, bomb scare or something. You know what I mean? The Russians are coming. God, yeah. Well, I know now that I'll be living a whole eternity in damnation, but that did feel good.
Yeah. When I started, I knew nothing, and gradually acquired suppliers. Satellites of Milton Keynes have suffered the neglect, really, that has happened to all the older places. The commercial centre is the be-all and end-all, and they've left the satellite towns to struggle. Some of the things come that are still alive. Clams come down from Scotland, which are still live. Mussels have to be live when you sell them. You know that what you've sold someone, they're really going to enjoy. That's terrific. Job satisfaction. We'll see how much longer we keep going.
Samuel John Rudd.
Sam is someone, he's one of the jewels of this town because it's like he is so recognisable.
When I was 9 or 10 years old, I sung Edelweiss at a concert, and Sam went to that concert. Now I'm now so many years old. When he sees me, he still sings Edelweiss, and we're talking a long time ago.
How does that
so
go?
He's got an old.
We'll get him to sing a duet. We'll like freeze frame the pictures.
And he brought Edelweiss round to the house as well for me when I was a little girl to plant.
Have you been in his
because I
house?
sang the song.
It's like a greenhouse, isn't it?
Yeah, he's got green fingers. He's fantastic.
Was you born in Stony, Stratford?
Yeah, I was born in the High Street, at the shop. That was 1930. And the day I was born, Mother joined into FTD, which is now into Flora. Joe Sheridan, Tottenham Court Road, come to see. Just the day I was born, and she joined FTD then. That's into Flora, but I've nothing to do with it. My grandmother set herself alight. She was lighting the greenhouse fire, laid the paper in the wood and put the coke in and chucked some paraffin in and chucked a match in. The flames shot out, set of clothes like an airline. Mother says, that does it, you take over now.
So tell me what happened when King George died.
Mother made this cross with the cream set in the middle of it, with all flags of the Commonwealth, the Lacanias and euphorbians and stuff like that, in the cream and all that. And I don't know how much it was. I asked to look at the other flags to the police, but they wouldn't let me. Move up, go, you can't stop.
Sam, where did you go to school?
Well, I went to, Tony went to York House at first, then up to the technical college or the grammar school, I think he did. But I didn't go there. I went to St George. But first of all, I went to like the Plough. There was a school there. That was when I started school. Then went to Russell Street, then down to Vicarage Walk, then finished because I did pass 11 plus.
And he's just slightly offline.
You're one of Stony Stratford's treasures.
Are you aware that he had a brother called Tony?
From Lotus.
Tony.
Well, he was one of the design staff of the BRM.
That's right.
Tony did an apprenticeship with Rolls-Royce, and was plucked out of Rolls-Royce to help this motor racing team, BRM, and he was his design, his mechanical engineering and design experience was so great that they actually sort of moved him away from Rolls-Royce to actually completely design a racing car for Britain.
We have recently acquired this house, and we were very, very surprised to find we have an original piece of Stony Stratford in this bathroom. This is a loo which was made in Stony Stratford by a Betts and Faulkner. The people currently restoring the bathrooms at the different drama, they're a London family. They came to us as regular guests, and through the years we have become friends, and they are direct descendants of the Crapper family. This particular building fits in just so beautifully with Stony Stratford, and obviously keeping the ambience of an old building is so important to our visitors as well, who are used to new buildings, and you know, that alone in here in Stony Stratford is, people love it, especially Americans love this building. As you can see, it's very, very small, and we believe this is where the princes were held on their way to London. Many years ago, there would have been much bigger cellars under all these properties, and sort of the last 100 years or so, they've all been filled in, so this is what remains of it.
It's a different world, isn't it?
Absolutely.
I live in a Victorian house, and when we first moved into it, people used to say, oh, I don't know what you want to live in a great big place like that. Why don't you have a modern bungalow? Now people say, are you thinking of selling? Yes, we'd really like this. So that's like an indication of how things do change and things come back.
Stony Stratford just sort of carries on,
Yeah.
in its own direction, and its direction is altered by the local inhabitants.
I think it's coming back. I think maybe it went away and it's coming back now because people are liking the old things, the traditional things.
But this is Stony Stratford, isn't it? You know, it doesn't matter whether it's the Scouts or the Lights or Folk on the Green or Remembrance Day or the school sports, it doesn't matter what it is. You know,
people take
this
a little
is
bit more care.
Stony Stratford.
Yeah.
People come into Stony Stratford because of what we do here, because of the various types of shops, the high street itself, and what goes on here.
And for the pubs,
yeah,
and the eating houses, and the music.
Yeah.
The honey.
The honey.
And the honey.
Don't forget to tell them about the honey.
It's a wonderful little place.
I've lived in Stony Stratford in the same house down Vicarage Walk all my life so far.
I love Stony Stratford. I love the idea that the new city of Milton Keynes, 10 minutes away, but Stony Stratford itself still remains an old town and people love to visit it. Not to mention the fact that there's so many restaurants in Stony Stratford now, so Stony Stratford is where you go if you're having an evening out.
Well, don't we say we're the jewel in the crown of Milton Keynes here?
I think it's just such a nice town to be in, and everyone's all friendly. Most people know everybody else, and it's just a great place to live, really.
Toreador, tore, toreador, la 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 la, la 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 la. La 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 la. There's a brown girl in the ring. Tra la 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 la, brown girl in the ring. Tra la 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 la, and she looks like the sugar in the plum. Plum plum.